from the description of the rule of Gedaliah, the son of Achikam in Mitzpah. In the two different versions, the one in 2 Kings 25, verses 22 to 6, and the one in Jeremiah 40, verse 7 to 41, verse 18, it's clear that he held an official position. He was given authority over the territory where the people who were left in the land were settled, and he was supposed to serve as a kind of intermediary between the Babylonian government and the local population. Linguistically, this becomes clear from the way the description of the appointment of Gedaliah as governor is described, with a clear statement that his appointment was official and ordered by the king. You can check it in the second book of Kings, chapter 25, verses 22 and 3, and in Jeremiah 40, verse 7. In every case where the root pakad appears in the Hifil form in the Bible, it refers to the appointment of a person to an official position of some kind as an official of the king. The conclusion is that at least the author of the description saw Gedaliah as an appointee of Babylonian some kind who was appointed by the authorities to be responsible for Judah. This was exactly as Pharaoh had appointed Joseph over all of Egypt. And you can read about it in Genesis 39, verses 4 and 5, or as Joseph himself appointed officials over the entire land. And you can read about it in Genesis 41, verse 34. Exactly as Jeroboam was appointed over all of the labor of the house of Joseph, and about it you can read in 1 Kings 11, verse 28, or as Ahasuerus appointed officials in all the provinces of his kingdom, and about it you can read in Esther chapter 2, verse 3. This conclusion is supported by accounts of the commanders of the army units joining Gedaliah and his oath to them, aimed at pacifying the fears of the Babylonians. You can find it in the second book of Kings, chapter 25, verses 23 and 4, and in Jeremiah 40, verses 7 and 9. Gedaliah's ability to soothe the fears of those joining him is evidence of his status and the authority he wielded, at least as a mediator between the people who were left in the land and the Babylonians. According to the description in Jeremiah chapter 40 and verse 10, this was also Gedaliah's role as he himself defined it. ואני, הנני יושב במצפה, לעמוד לפני הכסדים אשר יבואו אלינו. As for me, I will dwell at Mitzpah to stand before the Chaldeans when they will come to us. The meaning of the expression to stand before is something like to serve in the service of a supreme authority. A parallel to this expression may be found in the description of the status and the role of Joseph, who was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt, Genesis 41, verse 46, and who, according to the description in verses 40, 42, and 44, was appointed over all of the land of Egypt. And he was the most senior of the king's officials and was the one without whom no one shall lift up his hand or foot in all of the land of Egypt. Joshua, too, was the senior of those appointed by Moses. And according to the description, he stood before Moses. You can read about it in Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 38. Likewise, David stood before Saul, and about it you can read in 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 21, and so on and so forth. Gedaliah's status and position were also linked to the presence of Babylonian bureaucracy or military force of some kind in Mitzpah. This group apparently oversaw Gedaliah's actions and perhaps gave him official support and military backing. Gedaliah's status is also reflected in his directions to the commanders of the army units in Jeremiah 40, verse 10, in the imperative, gather, store, dwell, and his ability to guarantee them lands and houses along with possibility of livelihood. Even his directions regarding the storage and collections of the agricultural products in Jeremiah 40, verse 10, allude to his authority to collect taxes from the residents of the province. One may understand this behavior as the governor conceding what he was owed with the object of helping the residents of the province establish themselves and rebuild their lives. A parallel to this can be seen in the actions of Nehemiah when, according to Nehemiah 5 verses 14 to 19, in a time of economic problems, he waived the right to collect the bread of the governor from the people. My conclusion from the text describing Gedaliah's rule in Mitzpah is that the Babylonians made Gedaliah the official appointee over Judah. The most fitting title for the position that he filled is governor. The opinion of Miller and Hayes that Gedaliah was appointed by the Babylonians as a vassal king must be set aside. The major source is the reference to the king's daughters. You can read it in Jeremiah 41 verses 10 and 11, and the description of Ishmael, the son of Netaniah's origin from the Davidic family, who was one of the chief officers of the king, whom they believed to be connected to the kingdom of Gedaliah. Miller and Hayes hypothesized that the final editors of King's material didn't wish to reveal his real title because it would have required the admission that a non-Davidic person was appointed as king. In contrast, I believe that the term the king's daughters, as well as the description of Ishmael's origin, must be linked to the period before the destruction. These were the remnants of the royal house, apparently family members who were not close, or maybe even despite their close relationship, were not taken into exile. Ishmael is not mentioned in any other place as a relative of the royal family. In contrast to the detailed description of the fate of the sons of the kings in the second book of Kings, chapter 25, verse 7, there is no information about the exiling of the king's daughters or the Babylonian policy toward them. I can even assume that the Babylonians themselves placed the king's daughters under Gedaliah's protection, just as the prophet Jeremiah had been handed over to him, as well as men, soldiers, women, children, and eunuchs, according to Jeremiah 41, verse 16. In my opinion, there is no evidence that Gedaliah was appointed king or that Judah continued to hold the status of a kingdom. Moreover, the brief duration of Gedaliah's rule would not have enabled him to establish a royal palace and appoint officials. The theory that the description was omitted by a later editor of the Book of Kings has neither a textual nor conceptual basis and contradicts the description of Gedaliah's being appointed in Mitzpah. There are many difficulties in the attempt to reconstruct the ways the Babylonians controlled and ruled over the provinces they established. There is hardly any information, nor is anything known of the people who were appointed as governors. Still, there are accounts of the appointment of local notables to the office of governor from the previous Assyrian period and the following period of the Persian rule. The well-known examples are, of course, from the period of Persian rule, because we know on the appointments of Jewish governors, among them Sheshbatzar, Zerubbabel, and Nehemiah, in the Persian province of Yehud. I would also like to add to the discussion the logic that the Babylonians would appoint a local person who knew the population, possessed basic knowledge about the place and existing ruling systems, and was able to maintain a continuity in government. This is reinforced by the knowledge that the family of Gedaliah had a history of supporting a moderate, realistic policy, and familiarity with Gedaliah himself, who possibly held the highest ranking status of the king's officials. These factors would have enabled Gedaliah to act to quickly rebuild the region and the populace, and in this way to serve his new master's interests, as well as those of his own people who remained in the land. The conclusion from this discussion is that the Babylonians appointed Gedaliah governor over Judah. The question now is, when did it happen? Was it part of the Babylonian original plan before they destroyed Jerusalem? Was it an arrangement emerged during the siege, or was it a solution that came only after they conquered Jerusalem? I would like to suggest that it happened before the destruction of Jerusalem. During the long period of the siege over Jerusalem, the Babylonians had the time to learn about the region, and they became even more determined to destroy Jerusalem and to find alternatives to its centrality and to the role of the Davidic family in Judah. Mitzpah was the Babylonian chosen new capital, and Gedaliah was nominated as the first governor for the future province. Why Mitzpah? Most scholars agree that Mitzpah should be identified in the large and impressive site of Tel en-Natzbeh, located in the northern part of the Benjamin region, controlling the main road leading from Jerusalem to the north and one of the most important roads leading to Jerusalem from the west. 5 excavation seasons were conducted at Tel en-Natzbeh between 1926 and 1935, directed by Bade from the Pacific School in Berkeley, California. Only preliminary reports were published, and because of the early death of the excavator, his 2 assistants, McCann and Wampler, published the 2 summary reports of the excavation. These reports didn't present a clear stratigraphic picture, and because of the way the reports were published and the way the data was presented, there were only few repeat studies that dealt with the excavation finds, and the historical picture remained unclear. Jeffrey Zorn's doctoral thesis in 1993 and the many publications that came after it were of great importance because of the processing of the raw material left by Bade and because of the attempt of presenting a well-formulated stratigraphic profile of its history. You can pause for a minute and press the link to Zorn's website on Natzbeh Mitzpah with a nice archival material, a lot of data, maps, illustrations, many nice finds, good summaries, and a lot of bibliography. I can rest for a minute.